This is Men's Sacred Liberation Podcast, a place for the men of Charlotte to share their honest experiences about life. Welcome to another episode of Men's Sacred Liberation Podcast. My name is Brian Straheen, and I am a clinical therapist in private practice in Charlotte, North Carolina, where I focus on men through the lens of holistic health and wellness. I want to introduce our guest for today, Jason Kierce. Jason, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Brian. Glad to have you here. And that was a very well-rehearsed intro. Thank you.
I've been doing a good job on it. So let's get right into it. We work together through a number of different events and activities and community gatherings at the Big Love Yoga Barn. And I know that one of the focuses you have and projects you have related to the barn is spiritual expansion. What is that?
So spiritual expansion is sort of an umbrella label that currently has two different events that we do. So one of them is Soul Sauce, and the other one is spiritual book club. So during book club, we would pick a spiritual book of the evening, and really it goes for many meetings, as there's lots of information and topics to get into. And we have either certain passages read or listen to the audio of the book, and then we have deep, meaningful discussions and free flow conversation led from the topic of the book. Soul Sauce is another meetup group where we sit around in a circle and we very intently listen to one another as we discuss a topic of the day. It could be something like narcissism. It could be something like a psychedelic event or a spiritual experience you've had, or any sort of number of spiritual experiences. Yes.
And when I listen to everything you just shared, the theme that resonates with me is communication. Why is that so important as it relates to spiritual expansion, one's spiritual expansion?
Well, I think it's a fairly new, novel concept now to be more in communication of spirituality, and be very open and honest, and knowing how like ourselves, each individual has layers and layers of traumas and stories behind us that are creating what turns out to be our reality. And in a lot of times, it's a fictitious reality we make up about ourselves and our circumstances. So spiritual expansion in general is about healing us as individuals, and then in turn healing society. As we are all individuals within a society, the individuals affect society, and society affects the individuals. So it's a circle. And so with just having these types of open, honest, vulnerable conversations, we are evolving as a society.
And what really hit me is what you mentioned about stories, and the stories that show up in our conscious awareness, and we give them potentially a lot of attention. And these stories, as you pointed out, could be fictitious. So they're made up from somewhere. And in many cases, they dictate and guide the direction of our lives, including creating our current reality. And so I'm also hearing you say that we have the potential to create a new story, which then, in a sense, would create our own reality.
A new reality.
A new reality.
Correct. Or
Right.
some would even call it a new timeline.
That's powerful.
You know? Yeah. So and when we bring together, or we understand the individual thoughts and how the individual thoughts come together and form a collective, we see how society is built. Let me give you an example. I grew up thinking that American cars were the best that they could be. And when I was a teenager, I got a brand new Mustang. And I was all, and before that I was all about, a Honda or a Japanese car, they're all going to be pieces of shit.
Mhm.
And then when I get this American-made car that is supposed to be, you know, top notch and everything that I've been preconditioned to believe it being awesome and magnificent and the best in the world, that thing had so many recalls on it and so many like issues that were and it got dangerous one time.
Hmm.
Like I was driving down to Florida with my friend in the middle of a rainstorm, and the windshield wipers are going like this, and it was raining, and we were on a major highway, and there was trucks flying all beside us, and all of a sudden the windshield wipers go and stop
Dead.
right in the middle of a major freeway.
Hmm.
And I'm driving, and we're like, I'm having to drive with my head out the window in order to see anything and make my way off the overpass. So this was an example of a preconditioning that was born into me or instilled in me
Mhm.
since I was born. Like
Right.
America's the best.
Mhm.
I come to find out it's all a lie,
Mm.
at least in that aspect.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But there's limitless examples of preconditions just like that. Smoking pot, for example. I mean, I was told as a high schooler and a junior higher that if I smoked pot, I was going to become a loser. I was going to be, you know, a dirt bag, a homeless person. Come to find out, after smoking pot and learning more about it and doing it in a responsible manner, all that other shit was a lie.
Mm.
It was a preconceived position that was imposed upon me without any evidence.
Mm.
Happens all the time.
So can you give an example of a way in which you have not only created a new reality because of your thought processes and or when you and a collective group of people have created a new consciousness or a new level of reality, different consciousness reality through your own thoughts?
Yeah. And that example would be spiritual expansion. And that
Mhm.
example is Big Love Yoga Barn, where people come together recognizing that we're all working on things. We're all, well, when you're coming to Big Love Yoga Barn or spiritual expansion, you're working on things. A lot of people go through life perfectly content and fine with the status quo that they're living in, and are frankly fearful of facing some of their darkness, their dark shadows, and addressing those types of issues and moving into a more conscious way of living. So Big Love Yoga Barn and spiritual expansion is a new conscious thought that is affecting individuals and a collective around to help bring love and more consciousness into existence and then spread that through society. Even us just right now having this conversation on this podcast is an extension of that.
The Big Love Yoga Barn, when do you remember it, the seed being planted, and talk a little bit more about how it all came to be, because I'm sure people are interested, for those especially who don't know what it is.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
How did it come to be?
So Big Love Yoga Barn is a multi-dimensional psychedelic yoga studio and spiritual center of love.
That
And
sounded that rolled off your tongue. You've said that before.
yeah, I've been practicing for years now. Okay, so back in the good old days of COVID. Okay, we can go back to COVID and the shutdowns and now realize that everything happens for a reason and a purpose. And because of COVID, Big Love Yoga Barn exists right now. So I was teaching yoga at the Whitewater Center and the Dowd YMCA. And when COVID shut everything down, I took the practice online. So I was teaching, you know, on YouTube, live YouTube, Facebook anyways. When COVID had released itself enough from society that we were able to go outside and have outdoor meetings, I started practicing yoga at Freedom Park and grew a pretty good following of people.
Mm.
When that winter started coming around, or autumn time coming around, I was like, okay, we need to find another location. We can't just do it at Freedom Park anymore. So a group of friends and myself were at Pure Pizza over on Central Avenue.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw the big green garage down at the back of the property that day. And I just went down to look in the window, and I just wanted to go see what was happening down there or what it was. And turned out it was just a empty, vacant, spider-infested, dirty, dusty garage. And so I was like, wow, I can like get this cleaned up and start doing yoga in here, and that would be fine. So I knew Julie Ghazi, the owner of Pure Pizza, and and she's rarely ever at Pure Pizza.
Mm-hmm.
And the universe put her and I at Pure Pizza that same day, that same time.
Mm.
And we connected. And I was like, Julie, hey, can I just start using that garage down there to practice yoga? And she was like, yeah, sure, go ahead. And ever. So after a short amount of time, just a week or two or a couple of weeks or whatever it was, I asked her again if I can decorate it. And she was like, yeah, sure, go ahead, you know. Couple weeks after that, I asked her if I can paint a 3-dimensional psychedelic image on the floor, and she said, "Fuck yeah, go ahead, do it." So that's how it got started, and there's been many other people to help. Kristen Stevens, my partner, really helps to bring that into fruition as well, as well as a bunch of other people. And so the Big Love Yoga, it wasn't Big Love Yoga Barn back then; it was just the barn. It just started developing a reputation well enough that other people wanted to come and teach classes there and have events. And so it's just grown and grown and grown. Since then, it's become a nonprofit, and it has multiple, many, many events every week, many regular yoga classes and sound bathing, ecstatic dances, spiritual expansion, and so many other events just happening there on a regular basis, and it's flourishing, and it's we're going to be moving it in the relatively near future as well to a new location. It's
expanding.
It's expanding. It's growing,
and it's much more than just the physical location, is what I'm hearing you say.
Correct. Yeah, it's really it's a frame of being. It's the spirituality of expanding love itself.
Mm-hmm.
That's why it is Big Love Yoga Barn. Even though, I mean, it's not a barn really; it's just a garage. But it can be. But that type of essence can be transmuted anywhere. It can go into a house. It can be in this room right now.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So it's the essence of love and energy and consciousness, and then more specifically to the barn and the new location that it will be an array of thought-provoking, inspirational, energetic artwork that is designed to elicit wonder and deep emotion and curiosity and play.
Sounds like a beautiful place.
Yeah, you're right.
And what really hits me about your story of how this all came to be is you had a thought that was part of you creating a reality for yourself that resonates with your highest well-being and love, consciousness, love consciousness. And you were there with Julie, and you took advantage of that moment to speak your truth about what it is that you desired. And I wonder how many people listening have had those moments when their truth, not a fictitious story, but something that really resonated with them, that was true, there was an opportunity for them to experience something and to grow in the direction of their truth and their dreams, and they didn't take that opportunity because the fictitious story of you're not good enough, she's gonna say no, that's a stupid idea, it will never work, that barn's not meant for you and your vision or the collective's vision, and they miss that opportunity. They don't ask Julie if they can use the barn. Let's say, as the example, you don't ask, and possibly this never would have happened. So how many missed opportunities do we have in life to grow and expand because we honor the fictitious story and let it dictate how we act?
Yeah, rather than allowing guidance by our authentic higher selves to move us in the direction that we want to be going, that our authentic self, like years ago, I had thought I want to have a yoga studio. Like I want to build a yoga studio.
Okay.
So it had been implanted years ago.
Got it.
I had some of the artwork that is at the Big Love Yoga Barn right now, I had offered to another yoga studio, and they declined it. Some of the other sacred geometry that is, or essence of sacred geometry that is at Big Love Yoga Barn right now, I offered to create at the Dowd YMCA, and they're like, "Nah, we can't have that here." It was not getting approved. So it's like those things that I wanted to be doing and wanted to be giving to society or giving to the public were being sort of turned down at different avenues. So I was like, okay, well, like I still want to do that. I still want to give that stuff to the public. So this was a perfect opportunity to do it. And now so it's like the things that I've thought about years ago, or even more recently, are coming into existence now, because I have trained myself to allow flow to happen and move in the direction guided by my authentic self, and release the resistance of what that flow is.
And that immediately brings up a story that I heard from one of my meditation teachers about the essence of a river, and the river is in flow. And even when the river is flowing and there's a massive boulder, a big boulder in the middle of the river, the water is not digging in its heels and trying to stop the flow or resist. It just flows around the boulder and under the boulder, and it might even come to a waterfall. It's not digging in and resisting. It flows down, it lands, it keeps flowing. And I always remember the imagery of that story, and it sounds like what you're saying, because there are times when boulders, if you will, obstacles get in the way, like these different places telling you, no, you're not, we don't want that here, or getting in the way of what you're wanting, and you just kept flowing.
Yeah.
And I wonder again if people, even when they choose to step in the direction of their highest self, they face a boulder and they let that get in their way and they stop. They get stuck in the fictitious story of, see, that means you're not supposed to keep going. And what you're saying is to be in flow even when the boulder comes, because eventually you're going to get to where you're wanting to be, which is the highest version of your consciousness.
Yeah. So it's these in the moment, seemingly times of adversity,
right,
that create the catalyst for the next directional change of flow.
Right.
And so when we look at this, when we look at adversities, challenges, boulders,
brick walls,
as just something to get around, something to go under, get over, go through, rather than the normal human emotional attachment of resentment or negativity of it, then we go through those adversities. Let go of those negative attachments of it, and just look at that as the catalyst for the next directional shift.
Absolutely. And it, to me, goes back to what we started this podcast with, communication, because even as you look at the communication you have with yourself, and the communication in that moment might be, this sucks, that boulder's big, I can't get around it, I'm not able to do it, this means I'm not supposed to keep moving. if you even change the language within yourself, or listen to the language of your higher consciousness, however you would describe it, or redirect the thinking mind to think, no, this is simply an obstacle and I'm meant to flow around it. And through this, I will find something greater. How do you say more about the coaching of the thinking mind and the languaging,
Yeah.
communication around what happens when you face these obstacles?
Yeah. Okay. So, um, in society's current evolutionary position, the average thoughts are of a slightly negative tinge.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
Where, as you mentioned earlier, many people are taught growing up they're not worthy enough, they're not good enough, they can't do this, they can't do that. Your parents were always telling you, don't do this, you're going to get hurt. Don't do that. Don't, my mom tells me today, even I'm a 50-year-old man, Jason, you be careful. And she's genuinely concerned that evil shit is going to happen to me all the time. So this is just the natural evolutionary position that we started at another time. We talked about third density consciousness. And that's part of what this is right now. Is this the negative self-talk is a lower vibration of existence. When we move up through higher vibrations, and you can look at it from the chakra perspective, your red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple, right up through the top, those higher vibrations have released negative self-talk. They have transmuted negative terminologies into positive terminologies. Here's an example. A lot of people, when asked, how are you doing today? A common response is what?
Fine.
Not
Good.
bad.
Not bad.
Not bad. Two terms of negativity. Not bad. So and they're trying to say they're okay or they're good, but they're in the state of resonation that is producing negativity. So the opposite, or the yang to that yin, would be I'm good, or actually say what you are, fine, or things are good. Other aspects of a negative verbiage that we use in society right now is when something good happens. A lot of people are saying, "Oh, you killed it," or "they killed it," and they're trying to say that killed in a good manner. Killed is a negative term. Life would be the positive polar opposite of it. So now there is good, and there is yin and yang and good and evil in everything, but we're just looking at the average right now. I watch politics, and oftentimes people are debating with each other, and when somebody makes a point that somebody agrees with, they'll oftentimes say, "I don't disagree with you." Don't disagree. They've just used two terms of negativity. And they're trying to say they agree with somebody rather than just saying, okay, yes, I agree with that, which agree would be a term of positive, a positive, verbalization. But they're still in the lower vibrations that even when they're trying to give a connective point, they're still saying it in negative energy. So all we have to do now is listen to the terms in which we speak in, and know that everything has an equal. Well, most things. When we're speaking in general language, yes, things have, and when we're speaking in emotions and thoughts, generally there is a yin to the yang, a positive and a negative, a male and a female. Okay. So when we have a greater sense of conscious awareness that everything we say is a reflection of the vibration that we are emanating. Now we can consciously start controlling or consciously start allowing more positive energy to be shifted.
Right. And that answers the question I was going to ask, which is what is a practical exercise or practice that someone listening can execute now to begin to shift or change their vibration? And from what I'm hearing you say, it sounds like being much more reflective and aware of the words that are coming out of their mouths. And I know we've talked about this before. Words are powerful, and they are an expression of our vibration.
Mm-hmm.
And one of my pet peeves, or something that I'm aware of, is our use of filler words that let the world know that there is a lack of confidence in what is being shared. The language that sounds like kinda, sorta, maybe, should, I sort of, kinda, might, maybe, kinda, sorta, type of filler language.
Mm-hmm.
And I wonder if that is somehow an expression of someone's lack of confidence or even confusion as to what it is they believe.
It absolutely is.
So
Yeah, so they are verbalizing what they are thinking, and what the stories are that have been passed along to them. This is actually generational trauma. What we're talking about right now, and that because it has happened. We're living in. Hold it. So when somebody expresses those types of words from those types of feelings that are within them, they got those feelings from somewhere else. Those feelings were impressed upon them some other way than just popping into existence. So more than likely it came from their family, or it came from their immediate sphere of influence from childhood. It could also come from past lives experiences too. But those types of feelings of inadequacy, of ungratefulness, of lack of self-worth, that came from their parents, which came from their parents, which came from their parents.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
So it is a generational string of negative energy that has built us to where we are right now. Now we are moving beyond that. This conversation is evidence of that right now. There's talk of a global awakening of consciousness right now. There are more children being born on this planet that are what's known as indigo children, or what are the other ones?
I'm sure I know.
Okay. So more children are being born on this planet that have an innate sense of a higher layer of spirituality. Which is helping, or which is a result of the rest of the planet waking up to a higher vibration.
Mm-hmm. Right. And so I'm wondering, as we close, when you think specifically about the work you're doing, the actions that are a part of your life that is raising your vibration and the vibration of the planet, even the universe, what in addition to what you mentioned at the barn, what else are you doing that is in alignment with your higher self, with a higher vibration of your consciousness in Charlotte?
Yeah.
Or beyond?
I create socially relevant, thought-provoking film content. And I do it in a fun, satirical manner to help deliver a higher message of positivity to the masses through satirical comedy. So I have several short films.
Okay.
I guess we can put links or something below.
We sure
somehow.
can. Yep. It'll be posted at the end of the video in the description of this podcast. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, and so I am. Soon I'll be starting pre-production on a new teaser short film that will be a a teaser for a full feature script that I have written that has lots of these types of messages in it, done in a fun-loving, satirical manner that will help to bring this kind of information to people's foresight, to more regular people out there. People don't think about, the regular person doesn't think about spirituality on a regular basis. So when we can intertwine it into entertainment, that's going to connect with a lot more people on a broader scale. And then they'll be like, wait a second. Oh my God. Okay. Well, now I'm provoking thought. I hadn't thought about something in that way before, and now it makes a lot more sense.
Mm-hmm.
So the entertainment industry will receive a new wave of socially conscious messaging to help raise our vibration. And so that's what I'd like to also participate in.
Great. And so if what you're sharing resonates with their vibration, if something you're saying today, especially that work, resonates with them, there's an opportunity for them to connect with you.
Yes. Yeah, you can connect with me on Facebook and Instagram, Jason Kierce. And we'll have those links posted for some of the other short films. And like, I'm always doing things that and other people can participate with and help out with, and I'm available to help other people expand consciousness and create projects as well too. I love collaborating. I'm a collaborative consciousness creator, and I want to speak with more people of that same mindset and energy. And that's you too, bro. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I know I've appreciated working with you since the barn. You opened the barn and the door opened, and Julie invited you in, and I've been teaching a class on Monday night really ever since the doors opened, and it's been an honor to teach that class and offer that offering and be a part of the journey side by side. So I so appreciate the work you've done and this evolution of consciousness, which I appreciate you bringing to light and offering up opportunities to talk about it, because to your point, there are people out there that don't think about it. And it's a beautiful place, beautiful idea to know that people can go to the barn and to you and talk about it. And they can see you weekly. You teach, you offer offerings and classes throughout the week at the barn.
Yeah, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I teach 6 p.m. Monday and Wednesdays are at the barn, 6 p.m. And then Tuesdays, we are 2 blocks away at Veterans Park. We do an hour of yoga, and then we have a little intermission, and then we go into acro yoga. So acro yoga is a super fun, partner-based practice that involves elements of acrobatics and yoga.
Which is actually how I first met you, because when I first moved to Charlotte, I was looking for an acro yoga group, and people directed me to you. And back when you were practicing in Noda, next to Amelie's, in that little area there, that's how we first met. So if anything resonated with you, all Jason's information will be listed in the information of the podcast. I appreciate you so much for being here today, Jason. Thank you for all that you do for our community in Charlotte. And that is a wrap for another episode of Men's Sacred Liberation Podcast. We will see you again soon.
Before we actually wrap, can we stand and have a hug?
Let's do it.
Yeah, man.
Bring it in.
Bro.